Good evening. Welcome to our first regular meeting of 2026. Today is Monday, January 12th, and we met earlier this evening in closed session. And so I apologize for our tardiness in beginning the open session. Before we go ahead and begin that part, we would like to go ahead and certify the closed portion of our meeting. And so with that, our clerk is going to do we need a motion to certify, a second, and then we'll do our roll call vote for that.
I move the board enter into a closed meeting under Virginia. So I'm on the wrong page. My apologies. I'll find. There. I just had it clicked wrong. I apologize. Okay. I move to certify to the best of each member's knowledge that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under sections 2.2-3711A1 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board.
Thank you, Ms. Fleur. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cave. Any discussion? Okay, Ms. Gilkison, would you read the roll call?
Ms. Cave?
Yes.
Ms. Irons?
Yes.
Ms. Lohr?
Yes.
Chair Hurst?
Yes. Okay, thank you all for bearing with us while we tidy that piece up. We're now ready to begin the open meeting, and we will begin with a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, if you'd like to join us, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I would like to welcome a new board member this evening. We have Ms. Hillary Irons here representing District 3, and she is brand new to our board, but we are glad to have you aboard. We look forward to doing great things with you this evening. I don't know if you have anything you want to say before we continue, but it is kind of a business as usual as we keep rolling on. But welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. Looking forward to doing great things with you. And also, thank you, Ms. Lohr. We did have Ms. Burgoyne here with us this evening, but she unfortunately has gotten ill. She said to say her kids attend public schools, which they do, and they brought home the cooties or the germs. And so she is wrestling a bug right now and had to head out early. So thanks for bearing with us, and she makes her apologies. The first item that we need to take care of is a public hearing for our school operating budget. The purpose of the public hearing is to receive public comments related to the 2026-2027 school operating budget. And we have that listed as a separate hearing. And so at this time, I don't have anyone signed up to speak on the school operating budget, but if there is anyone in the audience that has had a change of heart and would like to come up and speak specifically about the budget, feel free to wave at me now. Okay, no takers on that. So at this time, we've opened and closed the public comments relating to the 26-27 school operating budget. The next item on our agenda are comments from the public. And again, no one has signed up for any comments. So at this time, we'll close that as well. We're moving right along into our consent agenda. For those of you that are unaware, our consent agenda is comprised of several items that we anticipate will be a 5-0 vote for approval. And if at any time a school board member would like to take something off of the consent agenda and put it onto our regular agenda for action or for information, all you have to do is say so. We don't even require discussion about it. If you want something off, we pull it off and we put it somewhere else. So that, and usually that means you would like to have discussion about that item, or you think further action needs to be taken before approving it. So up for approval tonight in the consent agenda are the minutes from December 10 and December 15th of 2025. We have several field trips that were in your, that are listed for information, as well as the personnel listing. And so at this time, I'd ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Lord. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cave. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of passing the consent agenda tonight, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no. Motion passes 4-0. Tonight, we just have one item for action, and that is our adoption of civil rights assurances, policy ACA, and I believe Dr. Shiflett is presenting some information on that.
Yes, thank you. Chair Hurst and board members, this is an annual approval, and you have the policy ACA Civil Rights Certificate in your meeting materials. And I do recommend the adoption of the Civil Rights Assurances Certificate, policy ACA, as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. Board members, do I have a motion to follow his recommendation?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Cave. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Irons. Now that we have a motion and a proper second, is there any questions, or are there any questions, comments, or discussion on this item? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes 4-0. We do have quite the list of information items tonight. Yes, okay. So I was going to say we can kind of move those around if we need to, but the first item that we have for information tonight is our 26-27 school calendar. Donna Abernathy is going to present a draft calendar for us to review and consider. Thank you, Ms. Abernathy.
Thank you, Chair Hurst. Good evening, Chair Hurst, Dr. Shiflett, and members of the school board. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here this evening to give you the proposed calendar draft for the 26-27 school year. So as in previous years, a committee was formed consisting of teachers, school administrators and parents from all three levels, elementary, middle, and high. And we also ensured that all 4 areas of the school division were represented in this process. So the committee has worked diligently to provide a calendar that balances instructional time, holidays, work days, and professional development and community needs. And we also looked at aligning with Harrisonburg City for shared services and for ease of families as well. So some considerations. We looked at the day of the week. This current year, we started on a Thursday, and that was very well received by our staff and students and families. They really liked having that one day of odd and one day of even classes, just to get those first 2 days under the belt before the weekend. We also look at the Rockingham County Fair involvement and starting after the fair. And this year, we also moved the open house nights to the following week. That was not on Fair Week, which is also very favorable response from our staff and students and families. And however, with moving those open house nights to the following week, the same week that school started, we didn't foresee the issues with the number of address changes for pickup and drop off that were made with the transportation department. So Mr. Sowers and his staff did an amazing job with a very short turnaround, because we had open houses on Monday and Tuesday night and school started on Thursday. So they would have multiple requests coming in on Monday night and Tuesday night to make changes, mainly for childcare type situations. But now that we're aware of this challenge that presented, we are working with our Power School folks just to make sure that they have access to address changes. And we'll be communicating that to families as well to make sure that they get that done before open house night as much as that they can. The 2 weeks at winter break, it just made sense this current school year because the Christmas holiday and New Year's were on Thursdays. Next year it's on Fridays. And all the surveys that we've done previously, the 2 weeks at winter break is always the number one item that families want to make sure that we have as well. Returning for 3.5 days following Memorial Day weekend and graduation. So the committee talked a lot about what does that look like coming back 3.5 days after Memorial Day, and wondering what does attendance look like and so forth. And we really looked at, can we get done before Memorial Day weekend? And we decided not to go that route because that would, again, we'd have to lose winter break, some time at winter break. We'd have to lose some time at spring break. Spring break is the second leading number of wishes from our community to have a week at spring break. So wherever we take off time, we've got to add it someplace else. So we decided not to do that. And so in the last, also I just wanted to add, in the last few years, we've been finishing school in that first week of June. And if you go back 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, it was always the second week of June where we were graduating on June 10th, 11th, or 12th. So that's just the way that the calendar has gone these last few years, and we anticipate that will be going back into the second week in the next couple of years anyway, as well. We looked at the end of course SOL and AP testing. We certainly anticipate all the end of course SOL testing will be done before we get back from Memorial Day with those 3.5 days left. And the AP testing are always the first 2 full weeks in May. We don't have control over that schedule, but the end of course SOL testing, the division will set that schedule for May as well. And also again, the alignment with Harrisonburg City. We have a lot of families that may live here in this division but actually work. The families, the parents work in Harrisonburg City, but the students are in school here. So, and also with our MTC shared responsibilities at this moment in time. All right, so an overview for this current year, we have 176.5 instructional days, 20.5 teacher work days, professional learning days. That includes 3 teacher flex days that they need to work sometime between August 3rd and the 7th or August 13th and 14th. So again, this school year, we did something a little bit differently where we're in school. Our teachers come back from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That Thursday and Friday were flex days, and that was very much the committee from last year. That was very much think outside the box of how we can work this calendar and look at doing things a little bit differently. And again, that was a very positive feedback that we received from folks, really enjoying to have those 2 flex days on that Thursday and Friday, kind of after getting all the information from the division level professional development, from the school level professional development, and then that gave them some time to kind of digest it all on that Thursday and Friday if they chose to work on those days. So in total, it's 197 designated days of the 200-day contract. That leaves 3 unencumbered days, which are for evening activities and planning and grading. Also, this current school year, we have 173.5 instructional days. So that's 3 less than what we're proposing next year. And last year, if you recall, we missed 12 days of school. And we had 176.5 for last year's calendar, which is what we're proposing for next year. And we started to get a little nervous about, are we going to meet our minimum number of instructional hours? And not only just want to meet that, right, we want to exceed that. So we did make up a couple days last year in February that were parent conferences and division level PD days. But we got a little nervous with that last year, and we've already missed, I believe, 3 days this year in December and had a 2-hour delay already. And we don't typically miss time in December very often. So we really felt the need to, let's kick it back up to at least 176.5 days for next year, just to make us feel better about the instructional hours as well. Yes?
So how many instructional days do we have this year?
This year, we're at 173.5.
And how many do you have left?
176.5. Yes.
I thought you were saying.
Yes. And then next year, we're proposing 176.5.
And we're hoping for no snow days.
Yes, yeah.
Which would be better already. Because a lot of our snow days last year came in October.
We had 2, I think.
Time out.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
right after Christmas break. We took the whole week
And
after.
in January,
So we're ahead. Right?
we're ahead. I like the way you look at that. No, that's okay. Great question. So an overview, we have the Teacher Flex Day opportunities. Open houses are on August 17th and 18th. That's Monday and Tuesday, the week school starts, because the first day of school is on Thursday, the 20th. We have our regular Thanksgiving break for 3 days. Winter break would be 2 weeks. Spring break is a week, which is the exact same spring break that we have this year now, just corresponding dates. And the last day of June will be June 4th with a 1 p.m. early dismissal. And there are teacher work days at the end of each term, and professional learning days are throughout. So we feel very positive about the proposed calendar as we've devised it, and we certainly feel like it meets the needs of our students and staff and provides work days and professional learning opportunities for our staff, and then also takes into consideration the nuances of our county fair and what our community needs are. So does anybody have any questions for me at this moment?
I would love to ask a question. I'm curious just about the intention of having the teacher workday the day after Martin Luther King Day, and whether there would be interested in teachers having that day at the end of Christmas break instead. Just thinking about, say, elementary school teachers that need to update their calendars from December to January, or considering the 2 week, I completely agree with the 2 week, keeping the 2 weeks for Christmas break. But I'd be curious to know if there was community interest in having school on the 21st, 22nd, so having and then having those 2 days off, January 4th and 5th. I think it's fine either way. I'm just curious to see if there'd be an interest in that.
Okay.
Because, there's always the Christmas parties on the 21st, 22nd. And historically, when we have Christmas on a weekend,
Mhm.
we have gone to school 21st and 22nd.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily advocating that, just asking a question about
Mhm.
shifting those by 2 days.
So we had talked about going to school on the 21st and 22nd, and then possibly having the 4th as a day that would be a teacher work day coming back in from the break. But then we decided to go with the 2 weeks at winter break because it's just in the past, that's where folks really want that time. Not saying that we can't go back to the committee and have that conversation and see if that's something that we want to consider.
Mm-hmm. I'm suggesting it might, so you keep 2 weeks, but have off January 4th, 5th. Like the city did that this year, for example. They had the Monday off.
So 2 weeks plus 2 days.
No, it would be 2 weeks, like Tuesday to Tuesday.
I think
Tuesday.
yeah, she recommended we go,
Well, not necessarily recommending, just inquiring.
Right, okay.
thinking about
Yes.
going Monday, Tuesday, 21st,
Yeah.
22nd, would be all the 4th and 5th
Mhm.
of January. So you're still off for 2 weeks of school, but you have 2 different days, right?
Mhm.
And it's always a trade-off.
Yes, of course.
Well, and what does that affect the schedule with Harrisonburg City? Because I know you try to align with them. What are they doing?
We are, I'm trying to remember what they're, for some reason, I don't think they're in school on the 4th.
I know they weren't this year.
Let
Those are the MTC
me
kids
see
were
if I've
affected
got
by
their
that.
calendar sitting here.
While you're
I mean,
looking
I'm
that
not
up, I'm
worried
delighted
about
to
being
know that
tightly
Super
tied
Bowl
to them.
is
I was just
February 14th.
curious.
It's February 14th, so it works.
Harrisonburg City on January 4th has a teacher work day
Okay.
on that day. Then they're back in school on the 5th.
What about the 21st and 22nd?
21st and 22nd, they are out for a full 2 weeks. Yep.
And wait, so they're in school on the,
So the 21st through the 1st, they have the full 10 days. That's vacation for everybody. And then January 4th is a teacher work day they come back to, which is what we did this year as a flex day. So folks could come back and work if they wanted to or not.
I want to say thank you so much. I love this calendar. For years, I advocated for a Thursday start date. Love that. And we even have Super Bowl Monday and Tuesday off on this calendar.
I
And,
think we
you know,
lucked into that.
Huh? Did they luck
I
into
think the
that?
NFL,
has a lot of influence.
the
Yeah.
NFL heard us
She
last year
called the
and
NFL.
changed their date.
That is awesome. I'm glad. I would like to get some more information about how you can influence the NFL.
Yeah, me too. For sure.
But yeah, it's no easy task. And I mean, like, this has definitely been something we always discuss, and it's always, and I always asked for things and never could get them. And this is, it's hard. It's really hard, but this is a really, really good calendar. So.
And last year and this year. So that's,
I'm sorry, what?
last year we were happy with it
Yeah.
and this year too. So thank
It's a
you.
lot of fun, and we have a great committee, and we have a lot of wonderful conversations and what ifs, and let's try this, let's try that. What do you think? It's a lot of fun to do.
Always trying to improve it and make
Enjoy.
it better,
That's
make it the best draft we can. I really like this draft. It's very similar to last year, some of the things that we asked for as a board. And I feel like a lot of those things are in place and look good. So I don't have any other further questions, board members. Do you? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Abernathy.
Thank you.
The next information item for us tonight is Crisis Prevention Training Program for RCPS. Dr. Emily Holloway and Mr. Chris Bryant are coming up to present some information about safety care. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you. We're both a little shorter.
Speak for yourself.
Chair Hurst, Dr. Shiflett, members of the board, thank you for letting us come this evening. We are here this evening to talk about a shift in how we support our students and staff through crisis prevention. Well, we currently know as MANT, and we have been looking at a program of safety care. So just bear with us.
I just took MANT training.
That's okay, that's right. So for many of us, including some of you, MANT is what we know and what we have been trained on in regards to understanding behavior, the de-escalation, and then how to support students through that process. Safety care builds on that strong foundation of what we know through MANT. They are very much parallel, but tonight we want to share with you what we see as standouts in the benefits of moving to safety care over remaining with MANT. And so I'm going to kind of share briefly, what those main key points are, and then we're going to talk about those a little more with specifics. But first of all, safety care is an evidence-based crisis management training that will equip our staff. Very similar to MANT, again, but this is very much evidence-based crisis management, and we'll bring our BCBAs on board with that, which is a difference from MANT. We'll provide direct training on behavior principles that will benefit all students and over time decrease those behaviors. And then we also want to share with you some of the cost-effective options that make safety care a real standout. Chris and I have been looking at some needs across both departments this year, and in evaluating MANT and safety care has some offerings that not only align with what we have in MANT, but offer some additional things. And when you look at the money amount and the bottom line price of that, it is more cost effective with safety care as well.
Ms. Lohr, you were the first person I thought of when we decided after meeting with the executive team to bring this to you. So there's nothing wrong with either one. So please understand what you did was valid and research-based. But after meeting with the executive team and their willingness to have us bring this to you for information, and we meet on Friday with the Region 5 school systems, you're going to find that most use safety care. And MANT is kind of phased out of a lot of those school divisions that we'll meet with on Friday. So it's current, and those reasons are why it's current. It's actually, my behavior analyst came to me and said, Chris, we've got to make the move. 3 years ago, they wanted to make the move. These are the folks who know the most about behavior in our schools. They know how to manage, mitigate, and help train folks on managing behavior. So I trust them, those 5 people that are behavior analysts. So those 6 things are, you can take to the bank. They're going to happen if we take safety care, prevention, verbal, non-threatening, non-physical, If we have to get into physical, then a safe way to engage in physical interaction. No, that's fine. The last two, I think, are very important techniques that promote everyday safety habits. Not waiting for something to happen, but preventative and making sure we're ready as a teacher in the classroom to handle those situations. And in training practice to ensure the fidelity of our philosophy with safety care. So there's some benefits, I think, that MANT maybe not providing, but MANT is still relevant, and we're going to have people who have MANT next school year until it expires. All right, next. So it's not simply a sit and get, and what safety care preaches is errorless learning. So I do, we do, you do. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it until you really feel comfortable with it. And then we're going to do it, and we're going to practice and practice and practice, and then you're going to do it on your own. And staff is going to learn how to make sure to do these verbal and physical skills with fidelity. So then Roman numeral 2, the training uses various teaching procedures. So those are phrases that you're going to find in the study of behavior, applied behavior analysis. That is the phrase that all families and professionals want to hear is ABA. So those A through F play right into what is applied behavior analysis principles, and that's where we want to be as a school system, working through the ABA philosophy. And then that last one is, it plays right into our positive behavior programming, our multi-tiered systems of support, and the VDOE's guidance for behavior management. So again, evolving from MANT into safety care, I think, is a natural progression. Other divisions around us are doing it. So then that this last piece, I'd like to just make sure you know the BCBAs will be the trainers. These folks have over 2,000 hours out of school in observing behavior, understanding how to research behavior. These are the people that should be training our staffs on how to implement behavioral strategies, along with Dr. Holloway's staff. Building staff becomes resourceful in working with their colleagues. Teachers are trained. We're going to save money. The trauma-informed piece is critical with the ever-changing landscape of kids. We need to make sure we're sensitive to all those needs of the different children in our school system. It does have a large piece about autism and supporting students with autism or behavioral needs. And if we have challenges, they will come to the legal proceedings and help us navigate those waters. So that's big.
And as we shared, the cost-effective piece, which really highlights how it is cost-effective with more offerings for us. Specifically, MANT, we all know of the MANT training where the trainers, when being trained, they go through the training, then every 2 years, they go to a 2-day training. In safety care, it is a 1-day training, but it is every year. It's still more cost effective for 1 day every year than 2 every 2 years for that. And so in talking with the staff, the yearly recertification for them as trainers is another thing that they found to be beneficial because it kind of brought back up and brought it to their forefront for the training aspect, not carrying it out over 2 years. The other piece of that is the training cost for our staff is cheaper with safety care, and the materials can be downloaded and reproduced. MANT's costs have continued to increase over time, and so every person who gets MANT, for example, Ms. Laura, who just recently went through MANT, your MANT training certification is good for 1 year, and next year you would have to go through that again. So some of our staff may be double qualified. If we are going to train teachers and administrators and offer this over the summer before school starts, they would need to recertify their MANT training anyway. And the best time to do that would be for us to train all of our staff before the school year starts. If something is important enough to do it and to have it to work with our students, we should have that before school begins. So we would want to try to train our administrators offering 2 or 3 days over the summer and then our staff in special ed and in tiered systems of support before school starts. So some people would have safety care certification as well as MANT that has not run out. That is okay. Many in the field have both as well. But the key thing that really stood out to both myself and Chris was that safety care offers some additional things that MANT does not. We are utilizing the pad and shield right now, part of MANT. Safety care offers that. In addition, safety care offers training for vehicles like our transportation drivers, our assistants for special education, our regular ed drivers, those that are transporting our Strong Starts and Building Bridges students. And that has been a need this year where we've had some issues with behavior with transportation. In addition, the piece that safety care offers for families is a huge plus on top of what we're going to get with the BCAs in the building, that we can, again, share that with families. So the common language at home and what's happening is also what's being used in the building. So at this time, we would open it up if you have any questions for us.
Board members, do you have any questions?
Seems exciting.
I have some questions or some thoughts, perhaps. Who is getting trained to, so I've been MANT trained before. In my role at the school I was at, it was very important for that. But I will say, what I liked about the MANT training is a lot of people think about the MANT training as the hold, right. the de-escalation hold. It's not about that. It's about everything that happens before that. Right. And as a classroom teacher, that was really actually great information to have. However, are we training classroom teachers in this, or are we training other school personnel? So who is getting this training?
So currently, and we can train more, but currently it is set up that the adapted special ed teachers, assistants, and the BSAs and those in our tier 3 programs and tiered systems are trained. They would still be trained in this, but something that we talked to the executive team about was having all administrators go through this training, elementary, middle, and high, and then the offering for additional teachers. And the nice piece about this program with our BCBAs conducting the training is that they can do that on our professional development days and offer that to teachers when special education is needing to offer other trainings, and we're running into dilemmas on trying to have additional dates for teachers when students are in class.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is because to put this training on classroom teachers, what concerns me is that their primary responsibility is teaching, not necessarily de-escalating every crisis that's in their classroom. We need other people like that you have described to have that training to specialize in that, because our classroom teachers can't do it all. We just can't keep asking them to be guidance counselors, trauma care specialists, behavior specialists. Like, we can't ask them to do it all. Their primary focus needs to be teaching. And while I appreciate how it helped me understand kids and helped me with classroom management, I just don't want to keep piling those kinds of things. I just wanted to make sure the expectation was that we were going division-wide with this, and that teachers would be required to do this and implement it. I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. That's why.
And I think, to answer your question, Ms. Hurst, the feedback we've gotten from teachers is that they want more tools in their tool belt to try and manage things before they escalate outside of their classroom.
Absolutely.
And by going to safety care, the verbiage, the strategies, the techniques they use are going to be familiar to the BCBAs when they get involved. MANT disconnect between their classroom support and then when it goes to a behavior analyst for support. So this is actually going to be nice, because the same language is happening between what we train teachers on and when our experts get involved with an FBA or BIP. So it should be more efficient.
But to answer your question, we would not be requiring classroom teachers to take it, but it would be easier and suitable for them, because we have had some that wanted and not being required, right?
I am the first to say, it's probably one. I mean, I haven't had that training. I've had the MANT training. It was helpful, but it also is not my primary responsibility as the general education classroom teacher to de-escalate students who are truly in a crisis, right? We need somebody else to come and do that because my responsibility is the other 19 kids and their education. Somebody else needs to work in lockstep with the classroom teacher on getting that kid what they need. That's
And I
just my perspective.
clearly heard, and by moving to this, the supervisors in special ed will be more available to manage principals' needs, teacher needs, because they won't be the ones training on professional development days. They'll be able to be in the building. So I think more people, more professionals will be available to help teachers
That's good.
by going to this model.
That's good. Everybody gets what they
Yep,
need.
yep.
It's good.
So that brings me to a follow-up question. Thank you. The first two chapters of MANT were super helpful and giving you lots of information that I feel like everybody should know. Is there a possibility of any of these programs having a light version so that you don't have to learn all of MANT? You don't have to, I have already forgotten the new name of Safety First. Is there a Safety First light that we can do with more people? Because so for those of you that haven't had the training, the first two chapters basically identify emotions and kind of help you. Okay, when somebody does this, you should do this, not that. And honestly, I've seen it in my own life where people have come in and somebody's escalating and somebody else just comes in and escalates them even more, and it's not helpful. Whereas if people had these tools, life would be easier. So is there a way to do that?
I think Safety Care has that piece, and if you were to go through the training, I think you'll be up in November 26, if I'm not mistaken. But I think you would find that the same messaging and training happens. It's just Safety Care's version. You're talking about the relational piece, and that is so important, the communication, relationship building, the conflict resolution piece. That's there in Safety Care. It's just different verbiage.
Yeah, but can we do?
But they do not offer an abbreviated
They don't
version.
offer an
where you get the-
abbreviated, yeah.
But for them to back it and for the legal aspects, you wouldn't want to do an abbreviated and then it not go through the full. But it is, the relational piece and the de-escalation piece is in Safety Care the same. And Chris and I have talked about the in-person versus the blending. In tier systems, we do all in person, and I know they've done some of the blended, but having that in person for that relational and looking to that as a possibility. But there is no abbreviated where you.
And is
can
there
go
any
through it.
program anywhere that, or speaker or something that could bring that to a wider audience within our division? Might be something worth looking at some point.
Okay. Well taken. We will do a little digging on that. But I can assure you, if we move to this, the supervisors in special ed will be in buildings and be able to help principals and teachers more than be in trainings for MANT, which is what we need them to be doing.
Anything else, board members? Okay, thank you
Thank you.
both.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time. The next item for information is coming to us from Sheldon Rice. He's our coordinator of health and physical education, and he is going to give us a presentation or an update on our program. Thank you.
Hello, Chair Horst, members of the board, Dr. Shiflett. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening about health and physical education in Rockingham County Public Schools. The current landscape nationwide points to an alarming picture about young people's health and wellness. Only about 1 in every 4 or 5 children, or about 20 to 28%, ages 6 to 17, meet the recommended 60 minutes of daily physical activity. Physical activity levels tend to decrease as children get older. Inactivity can lead to higher rates of childhood obesity, which is over 21%, and increases the risk of lifelong chronic diseases like diabetes and heart disease. We are also seeing increased levels of stress and anxiety in students. A large part of what we do in physical education is to get students moving and physically active. Being active has several benefits to one's overall health and learning outcomes. Regular physical activity can boost memory and attention, which are crucial for learning. Studies have also shown a correlation between physical fitness and higher test scores, especially in math and reading. Active students often have higher grades than their less active peers. Though physical activity is important, there is so much more to what we do in physical education. Teamwork and cooperation is paramount to what happens in our classrooms. By teaching students to communicate, collaborate, and achieve a goal. Exercise is a natural anxiety reducer by lowering cortisol levels and releasing endorphins. And finally, mastering new physical skills builds self-efficacy and resilience by teaching students that effort leads to improvement. This is not just true in physical education, but in each academic discipline as well. I would like to highlight just a few ways our physical education teachers promote lifelong physical activity opportunities for our students in Rockingham County Public Schools. We have partnered with First Tee of the Shenandoah Valley, headquartered at Heritage Oaks Golf Course in Harrisonburg, to provide students with a golfing experience. Through their First Tee program, they offer to bring equipment to schools and help lead golfing lessons as needed. They have provided teachers with professional development sessions to get more acquainted with the sport of golf and how to teach the skills of the sport. They have also offered the opportunity for field trips to Heritage Oaks, where students can hit from the driving range and practice on their putting greens, allowing them to see what an actual golf course looks like. Sadly, I was able to participate with my students in that experience. It did not help my golf game, but it doesn't keep me from continuing to try. Another popular lifelong physical activity we provide is bicycle safety. Our school division has over 800 bicycles at our elementary, middle, and high schools. We have offered teacher training in teaching bicycle safety, as well as bicycle maintenance and repair. Through this program, many students in Rockingham County have learned how to ride bikes safely and be aware of some of the rules of the road. Along with physical activity, teachers cover a lot of topics to give students the skills to make healthy decisions about their physical, mental, and social health. Such topics include mental health and dealing with stress, food and nutrition, safety and first aid, hazing and bullying, family life education, situational awareness, internet safety, substance use and abuse, addiction, and gambling. Along the lines of substance use and abuse, Thoughtful Life Skills Training is an evidence-based substance use and abuse prevention program that we began implementing in grades 4, 6, and 9 this school year. We have got our teachers trained to facilitate this program, and several schools have already begun teaching or have completed the program. This spring, we will talk about how things went and how we can improve our implementation of this program as it expands to elementary level 3 and 5th grade and middle school level 2 and 7th grade. And in the beginning of November, East Rockingham High School PE teacher Danielle Matheny and myself attended the annual Virginia Association of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance Convention in Virginia Beach. We enjoyed networking with fellow health and PE educators and came back with several ideas to share with our colleagues. We have a lot of great physical education teachers in our division that are passionate about what they do and care about their students' health and well-being. It is truly a pleasure to work with this group of teachers, but this evening I want to highlight one teacher in particular. Danielle Matheny from East Rockingham High School was named the Virginia Association of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance High School Teacher of the Year. This prestigious statewide award recognizes outstanding educators who demonstrate excellence in physical education, promote lifelong wellness, and inspire students to achieve their personal best. Honorees are selected based on their innovative instructional methods, leadership in professional organizations, and positive impact on students and school communities. Danielle is in her 6th year of teaching at East Rockingham High School, where she fosters a positive, inclusive, and active learning environment that motivates students to lead healthy lives. Her commitment to engaging lessons, creative fitness programming, and teamwork-based instruction exemplifies the best of health and physical education. We are proud of Danielle and the impact she has on the lives of her students and the East Rockingham community. Any questions from you all?
I don't have a question, but I first want to say congratulations to this teacher. That's wonderful. And it's a really a big blessing for Rockingham County that we have her. And thank you for the research that you've done into this. You may or may not know, I have a professional career in health and fitness and education as well. And this is something I'm really passionate about. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future and getting maybe a local Rockingham County program for health and fitness that we can use to, takes about 10 to 20 years for current research to get into clinical practice. And so there's some ways that I think that we can develop something locally where we can get some of that current knowledge into the hands of our students and to get them to move more. And thank you for bringing up also that physical activity promotes better test scores, because there's lots of research that supports that. And so I'm really excited to talk about this. And thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
It is just now occurring to me when you got up and you showed the slide that had Virginia AHPERD, and I was trying to figure out what all the letters were, and we got to dance. And we don't have, do we teach dance at all in Rockingham County Public Schools anywhere?
Oh, I think there's some of it, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I just never had realized that that I hadn't noticed that we didn't see it, that I haven't seen it. So that was very interesting. So, and it's maybe something that we need to get more into.
If
Because
you
I
would
know-
be interested in leading that, Ms. Lure, we can.
Oh, you should see me
definitely
dance.
work
It's
into-
amazing. It's just as good as my singing. So, but thank you.
Yeah.
Board members, anything else? Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Oh, no.
All right, the next item for information is a policy revision to IGAH, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Shiflett.
Yes, thank you, Chair Hurst and board members. And having some conversations with individual board members, there seemed to be a desire to sort of go back to having families opt in their children to family life education. Currently, it's an opt out. So we sort of share with families what we'll be teaching, what the instruction and curriculum will look like for family life, and families then can say, I don't want to do part of that or none of that. And so moving back to say parents must provide written consent for their child to participate in all or part of family life education instruction. So bringing this tonight to you for information. And, obviously, if you have questions, you can reach out to me during the coming weeks or have conversations with each other. But that's sort of what that policy change would entail.
Board members, do you have any questions or thoughts for discussion at this time?
And then what would that look like from a parental standpoint? Basically, and the reason I'm asking, I remember getting this paper that had like these boxes on it and these numbers, and I would lose it sometimes, or at first I felt like I needed to write something on it, so I would write something on it. It was never very clear what I was supposed to do with this paper. Will it be clear that I need to opt into this as the parent of a child?
Yes, it should be very clear, and what will be the significance and the change is, let's just go back to your example. If you lost that paper and you never submitted it, the school then is going to work on the assumption that you were okay for their child to participate in that curriculum, all parts. But now, before we can teach that curriculum to the child, we have to have the consent form in our hand so that we know that you as a parent have given your permission. That's sort of the big difference.
And I guess what happened if I lost it? Are we going to follow up on that? Because
I'm going to give some elementary classroom perspective here, because at the beginning of every year, we would send home the family life curriculum, and it would be listed what is taught, right? And then at the end, there's permission, like it says, option A, I give consent for all of my child to participate in all of these lessons. Option B, no, none at all. Or option C, and these might be in a different order, but option C would be yes to these, no to these specific strands. So that's been going on at the elementary for as long as I've taught in the division. You send those home, and then right before, and because I taught in 4th and 5th grade, this was especially relevant. Right before we got into those units in the spring, I would pull back all of the permission slips that I had received, and if I was missing any, I would send an extra, like I would contact that parent and send it home at that time to just say, just checking in. We need to know whether your child is getting instruction for all, none, or some, right? So at the elementary school, that's how it's been going. I think a lot of parents are under the assumption that that's how it's going at the middle and the high school. And I don't think that that's the case. So at the middle and high school, and this is something I've figured out with my own children. It was, the schools are doing a great job sending emails. We get emails, hey, these units are coming up, email if you have any questions or if you want to see the curriculum. So the schools, principals, PE teachers are doing a great job communicating there. But what I found out also was that a permission slip came home. It wasn't a permission slip. It was a send this back to school with your student if you want your child to opt out. Like if you do not want your child to take any of these, you need to send this back. So that puts a lot of responsibility, which is not unfair to expect that a 12-year-old can get a paper home to mom and dad. But there are also a lot of reasons why things never make it from the backpack to parents. I mean, all of us are parents and we understand how that happens. And I just don't want any child receiving education along those lines just because a parent happened to not see it. So I would think that, we're kind of follow the same procedure that we use at the middle school, or at the elementary school. My question would be, that can feel like a lot of paperwork for, I don't know who's responsible for, is it the PE teacher that's going to disseminate all that paperwork, or is that going to go by middle school homeroom, right? Middle school homeroom teachers, everybody has a homeroom. They're just responsible for the 20 in that class. That lightens the load. It can be, it could seem like a heavy lift for a middle or high school teacher who has 80 kids that they've got to track down and keep track of. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to do this in Power School where parents can sign these forms. Maybe we get them as part of registration, or maybe there's too much already at registration and we need to give it a couple of months and then send a digital, we do a lot of forms online for registration. Just wondering if this could be one of those that we do digitally. And then all that remains is to follow up with the handful that don't reply. So that would, my question would be, I don't want this to be overly burdensome. I want it to be done right and well. And I think the intent is right, but how can we not swamp our teachers? And it could even be, digitally, you could do this at the elementary level too, therefore taking another thing off of our teachers' plates that they have to keep track of.
Sarah, I was going to suggest that maybe we consider looking at that, adding it to registration. Yes, I know it's a lot, but there's a lot of parents that rather get it done at the beginning of the year all at once than to chunk it out later. I would just want to think about sort of some unforeseen consequences. While I like the opt-in option, especially because I do have a kid that lost the the form in a backpack, he just, it was stuck in the bottom of the backpack. And I think that provides a layer of protection for everybody, just especially when we're dealing with some topics that maybe challenge certain families' values. But could we consider unforeseen circumstances? Would we think that maybe there would be lots of people opting out then? And then what are all those kids doing during the time where some kids are getting instruction and when some kids are not? What we need to consider sort of, the logistics of that, if that should happen.
I can't say whether that would increase opt-outs. If it does, it does. But the backup plan for opt-outs has always been an alternative assignment in the library or in another classroom. So I would assume that, we would have to look and see.
Right.
If.
Yeah. And we can explore the options of looking at putting it, if we want to think, maybe at the beginning of your registration, or if that's too much. We're also exploring the possibility of looking at Parent Square to do some field trip permission forms and some of those forms. So maybe that could be a part of that as well. But I think, again, what you're talking about is, with the opt-out, maybe you don't know for certainty that the parents saw it and they're okay, right? With the opt-in, then with the certainty that they wanted it, right? So it's a little cleaner, what you might say, right?
My question is, in elementary school, is time taken out of physical education is that when they get the family life education is out of physical education? Because we were just hearing about how important physical education is. So how much time, how many weeks is it in elementary school? I think it's just a few.
So we may rely on Sheldon's expertise. In the upper grades, I would say it's a class period or two class periods in the upper grades. Some of the standards at the lower grades are sort of almost in some ways incorporated into just.
Well, that's my concern today is K through 3, because is it 4th grade that we're required by the state to start doing family life, and is it necessary in K through 3, or is it something that could simply be absorbed into guidance or regular class time, or is it?
Yeah, we have standards K-12
right.
or K-10, I guess.
Right,
for
but I'm
family life
asking K
education.
through 3, is it something that could be absorbed into something other physical education?
I think so I've taught 1st and 2nd grade. I'm getting the nod back there. I think Ms. Martz knows where I'm going with this. A lot of those are absorbed into the classroom because they're, it might be like life cycles. Somebody help me over on the side, but how to be a friend or types of families, right? Like,
what are they opting into then in K through 3?
That
life cycles,
perhaps.
Okay.
I think some of the more heavy hitting stuff would be using appropriate terminology for body parts. I don't know off the top of my head, but a lot of that's just absorbed in the classroom as I've taught 1st and 2nd. I didn't have strategic lessons specifically to it wasn't family life education 1.2 that I was teaching. It was embedded into.
Right. Is it, because there definitely is terminology, even in the 1st grade curriculum, that it's a little, I don't know that all parents would want their kids. So are the parents, I know we say, hey, you can look at the curriculum, but quite honestly, most parents, I don't know that they do. And I don't know if they know the terminology that teachers are allowed in 1st grade it's not, and I understand that they don't have to, but they can. So we open those children up to those types of terms that, I don't know if parents in 1st grade, some of them, my daughter's 10 and my son is 9, and I have introduced neither of them to some of the terms that I won't go into tonight, but I think we've talked about it. So I'm just wondering how necessary it is in K through 3. Not until 4th, correct?
I think you'd need to appeal to legislators because right now it's a required.
In 4th, though, I think, isn't that
K through 12?
I don't think it's some of the stuff that they're allowed to say is required. And Dr. Shiplet, I think we've talked about this before, and we specifically talked about fourth grade.
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking.
The
like,
standards
what's
I'm
required?
looking through now are it's a K-12 curriculum from the Department of Education. I'm not sure if the code is, Sheldon, do you know if the code specifically states K-12? Okay. So some of these, for example, K-5 standard, the student will identify members of his or her family. I mean, that's something probably a lot of kindergarten teachers do at the beginning of the school year when they ask, the students draw a picture of your family, right? And talk about this is mom or dad or, I live with grandma, grandpa, what have you. So, so sometimes it's hard for some of these younger, I think so the standards for younger students, it's hard to kind of just put them in different categories and say, just do this and like with the counselor, because that was something, that I think a classroom teacher could do. I think your concern maybe is when it gets into more of language about body parts or whatever.
Yeah, and those words are a long walk from learning who your family members are in fifth grade when we're talking about really private body parts in first grade. That's all I'm saying. I just want to be very careful about things that we're teaching that parents should be teaching.
Dr. Shiplet, maybe it would help if board members had ready access to the SOLs. Like, could you maybe get us access to what is sent home to parents, per grade level,
Sure.
K through 10? And let board members see what is currently being sent home. I guess 6 through 10 is probably very similar with the generic, like some of that's just communicated in emails, but like at least then board members could see what the SOLs are, even though I do think they're on the VDOE, but at least this way board members could see how it's being communicated and articulated to parents, and maybe that would answer some of your questions, or maybe it would bring up more concerns. I don't know, but.
Is the concern that the paper that we get sent home with the checkbox is more vague than the curriculum is specific? Is that
No, I mean, I'm happy about adding the line about the opt-in. I'm just wondering if it's necessary in K through 3.
So your question is, do we have to teach the family life standards or part of the standards, right? Because we probably still want to teach about the family unit, I'm guessing, but maybe not the body parts, and 1.7, I think that is in first grade.
Correct.
Right, okay. Yeah, I will get you that information.
Thank you.
And then we can continue to have the discussion. I think I'm hearing right, as of this evening, everyone feels pretty comfortable with the change that we're suggesting. But then what does it look like moving forward? Is there more changes coming?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Just a couple more information items. Thanks for hanging in there with us. School board committee appointments. At this time, I just want to bring up that we have 2 committees, the Shenandoah Valley Special Education Regional Program, of which we always have 1 member from our board represent us on that board. And then the Massanutten Governor's School Board has 1 member from our board that represents our division. Those are the only 2 active committees that we have at this time. And at this point, Ms. Lohr has been on the Shenandoah Valley Special Education Regional Program for 2 years. Is that right? And Ms. Cave has been on Massanutten Governor's School Board. I think we just need to figure out, would you ladies like to have the same appointments? Would you, does somebody else, have a desire to go and take that on? You don't have to decide tonight, but I would like to know by the next meeting so we can work out who's doing what, and we can approve it, make a motion and approve and appoint people to those committees at the next meeting. So if you want off of the committee that you've been on, please let me know. If you are excited to continue to serve in that role, please let me know. And if you're interested in any of the above, let me know. Right now, those are the only two committees that we have, and they are really important committees. We must have somebody serve in those positions. So just let me know in email. The next information item is our school board annual self-evaluation. I happened upon a policy back in December, I think I mentioned to you all in December, that said we will annually evaluate ourselves. So I asked our clerk, hey, where's the evaluation for this? And to our knowledge, we've never done a school board annual self-evaluation, even though we have a policy that says we will. And so we talked about, I think it's good practice for us to have a self-evaluation. So I'm not interested really in, and I didn't get the sense from any board members at the time that we wanted to get rid of that policy and just say, we're not doing that. But at the time I offered to put together an annual self-evaluation. You have that information in your folder. And hopefully you all have had a chance to review it. And this would be a good opportunity to give me your feedback on this. And in my head, and of course, like we all need to be in agreement on this, in my head, this would be something we would do in December. Not in January, because obviously Miss Irons is coming in, and if we did this evaluation right now, she wouldn't have anything to really evaluate on how the school board is functioning as it relates to instructional programs, ensuring licensed personnel, reviewing accreditation reports, right? So it would seem to me that because we sometimes have outgoing and incoming board members, that this would be something we need to look at in November and December. And I'm not saying that because I think we should wait. I'm just saying we need to consider the timing of this. And I think it would be a good idea if we went ahead and did this now for the previous year. But first we need to have a good tool. So what's your feedback on the tool?
Right out the gate.
Right out the gate.
Can you make it a Google form instead of a PDF? I don't like paper and pencil. I want to be able to click.
I agree.
And then nobody has to compile it because it does it for you.
I agree.
But
Good.
yeah, and I'm beginning my 9th year on the board, and this is the first I even knew we had a policy. Well, you and I discussed it sometime.
Yes.
Recently, but before you said, hey, did you know there's a policy? I did not. But just so that everybody knows, the policy book is what? This thick? It's about this thick. So I haven't read it all.
There's a lot in there. It's I'm sure it's easy for,
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
easy for this
I'm
to fall through
excited.
the cracks.
Thank you for bringing this to us.
Yes, I did call Miss Laura and say, have you all ever done this? What did this look like? Do you have a form? So
this would be strictly from us, about us, like each one of us would fill it out and then we would compile our results. We don't have an external anyone contributing.
Just us, just the 5 of us. So in section 5 under governance practices and continuous improvement, it says the board evaluates its performance, number 15, the board evaluates its performance annually and sets improvement goals. I don't know what that would look like, sets improvement goals. I mean, maybe when we look at it, if we give ourselves, you know what, we really need to improve on high quality professional development for staff. We're not sure we're there yet. So what would our goal be? Would that go into, would we have separate goals, a separate document of like, hey, we really want to stay focused on this? Or would this go into the comprehensive plan, right? That we need to be more strategic about that. So what that looks like for setting improvement goals. I don't think there's any point in doing this form if we're not going to take the steps to make an improvement, right? So I advise that we keep that, but what that looks like and how we, if we've rated ourselves in general poorly on something, how we can work to improve. And I think that might maybe it's a work session where we're discussing.
I think it almost feels like it should be something that we do in conjunction with our superintendent review. Because that's when I'm already looking at all the numbers and I'm already in that vein.
Yeah.
And that's
I agree with
usually
that.
1st of July or so. So.
To be clear, you're discussing that as a matter of timing, not a matter as involving the superintendent.
That is correct. Well, And so what we do, for you and everybody else who's never been in the room, we
Dr. Shiflett, would you
yeah.
like to evaluate the school board?
That's a great point. We should have Dr. Shiflett evaluate us right before we evaluate him. Great plan, Dr. Shiflett.
We are awesome.
Well, I'm a fan of implementing of the policy we already have in place. I think it's really important that we hold ourselves to the same standards that we hold our employees, and they are repeatedly evaluated, and it's good for our growth as well. So I think it's a good thing.
Are there any items on here that you would like worded differently? I took these from Code of Virginia, our roles and responsibilities, right? So we are responsible for accreditation, accountability, and compliance. So what are we doing to make sure we're checking those boxes, right? We are responsible for ensuring we have licensed and qualified personnel, that we support high quality professional development. So if you're wondering where this stuff came from, Code of Virginia, are there any items you think we should add? And maybe this will be an evolving document.
Yeah, I think this is an evolving work in progress kind of thing. And I think we should start, I'm better at evaluating it as I'm doing it and going through it. And maybe have the goal, have this done by early June and see how it goes. What do we think of that?
Board members?
And
Well,
that'll give Ms. Irons 6 months.
6 months to
get her feet under her. And it
She's
kicks it down
fast.
the, it kicks it down the
Okay.
road, so we don't have to do it right now.
I don't know. I think we
June when there's
would
nothing
maybe
going
need to put this up for action as in like, hey, this is the document that we're going to use that goes with this policy. Is this ready for action next meeting, 20, whatever? Yes,
Are you
the
putting it with the
26th.
policy or?
I think this would be attached to the policy as like, this is our approved document. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get legal counsel on that.
I'm almost inclined to not take a vote on it and let it be a working document. I mean, we don't have a working document for the superintendents.
Sure. Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
a good point.
yeah.
Okay.
We don't vote on that. We just use it. And then when we don't like something, we just change it and fix it.
I
Okay.
agree.
Okay, that concludes all of the information items that we have this evening. We're now moving into item number 9, which is the superintendent comments and updates.
All right. Thank you, Chair Hurst. First, I would like to officially welcome Ms. Irons to the school board. We held a reception for her this afternoon at Peakview and invited folks to welcome her. Some of our administrators were there, as well as fellow school board members. So welcome to the team. We've been having ongoing discussions about our use of technology in our classrooms. And so I have provided each school board member with a copy of the book, The Digital Delusion, and for each of you to read and for us to discuss. I'll also be providing a copy of this book to all of our administrators next week and asking them to read it. We'll start reading that, I guess, in mid-January and try to finish it by the end of the year. When we have our administrative retreat, we can be having some conversations around this and how this may guide some of our conversations. So just wanted to share this with you and make you aware. I've started reading it. I haven't gotten through the entire thing. Unfortunately, they don't have the Audible version of this for me, which is not yet, which is a bummer. I do read, but I love to listen to books. When I'm out doing farm chores and cutting wood, I can just, put in my earbuds and listen. And so I listen to lots of books. I just don't always have time to sit and read. Oh, gosh. I didn't know if you were. Yeah, that would be great, Mrs. Irons. If you could do that, if you would record it as you read it out loud, I'd really appreciate it. It would help me with that. So So anyway, and so as we begin to read this, can be some conversations that we have over lunch or coffee or what have you, just to talk about this. Wanted to bring you up to date. Last week, I visited with Dan Sanders at Broadway High School to look at his facility along with Colonel Bryant from JMU's senior ROTC, and we were looking at that property and what spaces we can use. Ms. Irons joined us, so hopefully we'll be getting that application submitted either this week or next week, and we're moving forward, still trying to plan, budget pending, that we can start a program this fall at Broadway High School, our first junior ROTC, with the long-range goal of taking it to all 4 of our high schools. I think Colonel Bryant shared that he attended a school in Florida that had, I think, 17 high schools, and all of them had junior ROTC. So we're trying to see if we can get it started, get it planted, and see if we can watch it grow. And then the last comment or highlight I'd like to make is the winner of our perfect employee and perfect attendance for the month of December was Sydney Kaufman, who is a kindergarten teacher at John Whalen Elementary School. So I'll be teaching kindergarten here in a few weeks. I begged Caitlin if she would keep spinning the wheel to find someone other than a kid. No, I'm just kidding. We found a kindergarten teacher, and I said, hey, she's the winner, and I'm going to try my hand at kindergarten. So
Love it.
I'm going to love it. That's what Ms. Chair Hurst says, and I believe that to be true. I'm going to enjoy it. So looking forward to it. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Shiflett. The next item before we wrap things up, our school board highlights, questions, and comments. I'm going to begin tonight by apologizing to the board for our meeting on Wednesday. So Wednesday, the board met for organization meeting, and then we met in closed session with our attorney for legal counsel and for FOIA training. And one of the challenges in working, it's not a challenge, it's just a part of reality, that we have young moms on this board who have children that need them after school. And I let that meeting, we thought we would be wrapping up at 2:30, and we didn't. And then I thought we can squeeze in just a little bit more. And it really pushed a couple of our board members to the point where they ended up needing to leave the meeting that ran late. And so I want to apologize, first of all, for trying to pack in so much, because it wasn't my intention to push it to the limit where board members were having to hey, I can't stay any longer, I have to go. And then we wrapped up the meeting late. So I do want to apologize that the meeting ran longer than we had anticipated, and take responsibility for that. That puts you all in a position where you had to choose between your family and your role as a school board, and I don't want to put you in that position. So my question for the board would be, what do you, at that time, I was making that decision based on, we had the attorney present, and we were, trying to roll through several things, trying to also balance not bringing board members back for an additional meeting, because we already meet a lot and we're all very busy with, full schedules of things. And so I was trying to balance, maybe we can squeeze this in and get this done really quick. And I don't think that that's going to work, but I just want to know how you would like me to handle those kinds of meetings. When we have closed session meetings on Monday nights, that's kind of an open-ended kind of thing, and we've gone real late on Monday nights, but it is, I need to be more aware of what you need from me when we're scheduling meetings, and maybe I've just tried to pack too much in, and we just have to have more. I don't know. Do you want more meetings? What would you like? Please accept my apologies for pushing you to the end, and then, but I just want to know how I can serve moving forward better.
I have a couple ideas on that. I think it is when we have a meeting with an ending time that's already established. Obviously, Monday nights, we aren't going to have that. But the ones that we do, maybe at the point of the time of meeting at 2:30, for example, the other day, we could stop and all agree as to whether we can or cannot continue, or whether we're going to table something. I think there's bringing awareness to it would help. I think it'd be great for the attendance record to reflect if we have a meeting that has a start and end time. So the public is aware and it's transparent that, hey, the meeting was supposed to end, so actually, they stayed 25 minutes late and then had to leave, not they left early. Especially in the case of Ashley, she bent over backwards to be there on Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well-
Her daughter broke her foot at school, and she really went out of her way to be there,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want the record to show something other than the fact that she bent over backward to make it work.
It'll show that she was missing, but it won't show why. And that was really a challenge for her. Yeah. Anything else, board members?
I'll defer to the other board members because I am blessed with flexibility and you guys are blessed with babies right now.
Oh.
Enjoy that. And my kids don't need the mama that they used to. And I'm going to get all teary if I keep talking. So I'll do whatever I can to make it easier on you guys because I understand that your first job is mama. So whatever I can do.
My schedule is extremely flexible as well, so I'm with Jackie on that, on letting Miss Irons, Miss Burgoyne, and even you, Chair Hurst, decide.
Sometimes I get in a bind, but I usually have backup plans for kids that call me and say, aren't you picking me up? No, ride the bus.
Well, and I'm generally flexible too if my mom happened to be out of town. So.
We did set an ending date
Yes.
and then didn't hold to it. So my apologies for that.
But I just think that's good practice anyway, just to have at least a stopping point to say, can we do this? And I'll agree on it.
The only other thing I want to say, Ms. Burgoyne asked me to pass on a comment she was going to make tonight, and that was regarding recess equipment or playground equipment. Let me clarify, playground equipment at the elementary level. So we've discussed this as a board. We even went as far as to get a report and have our elementary principals put together, like a presentation, which we can share with you, Ms. Irons, on, condition of the playground equipment, how much things cost to replace items. And when I say equipment, I don't mean the playground balls. I mean the slide structures, the gaga pits, the climbing apparatus, whatever, all of those things. I know this is something we've talked about as a board, knowing that these things are really expensive. I don't think the public is aware that one single piece of that, one small thing can cost as much as $20,000. And that is usually left to the schools and the PTOs to fundraise for that. And some schools have a lot of PTO fundraising power and others maybe don't have as much. And what we're wanting to make sure, I think, if I understand Ashley's heart, and it's very similar to what I've heard expressed among the board, recess is important. Kids being outside and playing is really important. And we as a board tend to budget for, large ticket items that exceed, when we think about, we pay for a lot of things for our middle and high school athletics teams, right? If we ask the baseball team to fundraise to replace $400,000 lights, it would be impossible, right? So those are items that we take on, or if we have to replace sod, or if we have to, there's a number of things. I think we do field maintenance, which can be over $20,000 per school per year. We do a lot of big ticket items at the middle and high schools. And I think Ashley was wanting me to relay, it might be time to take a look at how we maybe need to revisit that discussion again as we move into budgets, how we can support our elementary schools. I don't know if that looks like us doing an evaluation, putting them on a rotation of, I don't even know, I'm going to throw out a wild number. No, I'm going to throw out a low number. That way no one holds me to the wild number. But maybe it could be, we have 15 elementary schools. Maybe we put them on, 5 schools a year and you get $10,000. That's my low ball number. That's a low ball number. I understand, but I don't want to throw out, $75,000 and have somebody say, they want to provide that. I don't know what's feasible in the budget, but I think we need to start looking at that, especially as we move into the budget. And Ashley wanted me to bring that up. I think she championed that I think it was last year in 2025 at the beginning of the year. We did discuss it. I just can't remember if it was 24 or 25.
To that vein, as a PTA president formerly that has raised lots of money for things like that, it is definitely very expensive, but also imperative to our students to get outside and run and play and do all the things that enhance learning and wellness. I have lots of creative ideas to speak to this, I think, so we can do it not right here, but I'd love to be part of that conversation because I think that I would encourage principals to have a long-term vision, or even whether to do this at the county level, to have a long-term vision for what their playgrounds would ideally look like and to dream big. Because if they say get $10,000 and a PTA can raise a few, and typically fundraising is more effective if there's a target and a reason that's very specific. And so we could probably come together and say, hey, we can get this piece of over here and do this over here next time. And so, but to have a plan in place is really important for that to be effective.
Yeah. Mr. Moyers and I have had some preliminary conversations about this as we started talking about budget, and one idea that he ran by me, and I'm not exactly sure what the dollar amount would be. It really depends on our budget, but as if we could allocate $30,000 or $40,000 to each elementary school and allow them to put in their activity fund, and then give them 3 years to make their purchases, so they have some time to work towards that, and then maybe with some, PTO funds or, community funds, they could, do some greater things. But making it more capital investment, right? Not just kickballs and jump ropes, but more, pieces that they could add to it. Like I see here, you can get Larry that Lion Playground Tunnel for $1,100, and that may, so that may be something we want to invest in. So anyway, but we're having those conversations. So as we are going through the budget process, we'll try to maybe keep that in mind, that this is something that sounds like the board would like to see us try to work out if we can.
So that's all of the comments for me and for Ms. Burgoyne. We'll go to Ms. Cave.
I don't have a whole lot. I was able to attend the spelling bee out at Pence Middle School, and I love spelling bees. I'm a big, English and math are my two favorite things when it comes to education, although I do wish I'd paid more attention in social studies, but that's neither here nor there. But some of those words, man, just gave me heartburn. But wow, and those kids, just get up there and just rattle them off, and it just made me really proud of Rockingham. So that was fun. And then I got to attend my first honors band performance on Saturday at East Rock, and that was amazing. So I've went to a lot of the middle school bands, and so just seeing that difference in how they grow and into high school, and then those who make the honors band is just really, really amazing. So that was a good time, and I think that's all I had on my mind for tonight.
Ms. Laura?
I just want to jump off of Ms. Cave's comments real quick. And that, the spelling bee, some of those words were hard. And I was getting live updates, and somebody said, okay, the child just went out on pistachio. I'm like, boy, I can barely pronounce it. And then I'm like, okay. And we tried spelling it, and then we had to have Alexa spell it, and no adult in the room could spell pistachio. I can barely even say it. So hats off to the kids that did the spelling bee. It was rough. Also, I'd like to welcome Ms. Irons. I'm so looking forward to working with you in the coming years. And I'm really excited about the things that this board is going to be able to do. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't sound like I was trying to put off the evaluation or discussing the evaluation. And I want to thank Chair Hurst for working so hard on getting a document. So thank you for that. I think we're going to be able to do great things, and I'm very excited. I'm thankful to be here, and I'm thankful to be on this board and serving with the folks that I am, because it is a service to our community. And I think we're all up for the challenge. So thank you. I was able to attend a field trip to JMU with one of the new health careers class last week. It was really awesome. We got to learn how to do ultrasounds, and we stitched up a banana that had a laceration on it. We listened to heart sounds. It was neat to see that class in action, and I'm excited for the future of that, because that's a new program at RCPS, and I think it's really going to help us find some great kids in the health career field. And I am suffering from neck pain and getting older, and I definitely am going to need folks in the health career field. So I'm excited to have that what's the word I'm looking for? Venue that I'm looking forward for that for our students. And I think I see some students here tonight. Do I see some students here tonight? Would somebody mind shouting out where you're from? Oh, so you're not even Rockingham County Public School students. Well, welcome. I hope you learned something tonight and I hope you enjoyed. We certainly enjoyed having you here, so thank you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Laura. Ms. Irons?
Miss Laura, I was very jealous when I saw that you were on that field trip. And so I just want to put it out there to all the people who might be watching this, who work for Rockingham County. If you are taking your kids on a field trip and you need an extra chaperone, please do call and invite me.
They needed an extra.
Yes, especially one like that. I would have loved to be on that one. So I just want to take my time to say I am really excited to be here and just give a little update on what I've been doing for the last few weeks as I took on the role. So I've been spending time visiting schools, attending events like the Spelling Bee, which I agree was wonderful, meeting with staff so that I can better understand what our strengths and our challenges are, where our greatest opportunities lie, and like how I can help the best I can. As I tour, my goal is to sort of enhance morale, to highlight successes, and to build relationships and deepen the understanding that I already have about our school system, and just to gain insight into all the many moving parts that make our system tick. I did get to go see the ROTC thing, JROTC, should I say, with Dr. Shiflett. I'm really excited about that, especially this year. I think it's really timely that we're bringing that program on in the 250th year of America's independence, so especially meaningful. And I would like to see us have a set of efforts this year that support the 250th anniversary of America's independence. I think it could be some very small things, such as like making sure all of our students know the 50 states and their capitals, which unfortunately I think many don't. And hey, that might look like just the countywide effort to learn the nifty 50 United States song. Doesn't have to be anything super crazy, you know, or the president's song. There's some other things I hope to spearhead as we go forward, and very timely again with our calendar presentation tonight, because one of the things I would really like to see, which would facilitate long-term attendance for our families, is maybe that we consider approving a 2-year calendar at a time, and like having maybe like a 3rd-year draft, so we're on a rotation of approving 2 years at a time. That way people planning big vacations, or I know, for example, World Strides next year was like, we think it's going to be this day, but if we get off school on this day. And so that could be helpful long-term for families. And then as we prioritize safety in a variety of ways, I would like to highlight that during the campaign process, several families brought up to me that they are concerned that we don't have background checks on file. And again, as leading from top down, we require background checks for everybody that's in our schools working with students. And so I would like to see us adopt that practice. I'm sure we'll all pass with flying colors, but it would set a precedent for the future that we are invested as well in the safety of our students. And the thing I'm excited about lots of things, so I'll leave it, 2 more things. MTC, I'm super excited to get to be part of that. Many of you may know, if you paid attention at all, I graduated from a VOTech school in Maryland. It was a fine arts and tech school. And so I'm working hard to try to plant the seed to make sure we get a fine arts component put into MTC. Yes, that would include dance. Yes, it would. So another timely connection for tonight. And then lastly, I'm really interested, Sarah and I have been talking a lot about making sure our reading skills are up to snuff, and bringing back things like cursive that will help with student handwriting. I really firmly believe that every student in Rockingham County should be able to read the Constitution in its original form, which is cursive. So anyway, all of that to say, I've got lots of things I'd like to think about and do, and all of which is going to be done with the power of the board and with the guidance of the professionals in our county. But at the heart of it all is just that it's what's best for kids. I think that's why we're all here. That's not always the easiest path for adults, unfortunately, but it is the responsibility we share, and I'm really looking forward to serving the county and getting to know each of you, and to working hard over the next 4 years.
Thank you, Ms. Irons. I'll wrap up by also, I began the meeting by welcoming Ms. Irons, but I also should have re-welcomed Ms. Laura because she's back. So Ms. Laura is back, and we're glad to have you on board as well. One of the things that I appreciate about Ms. Laura is she is the most senior member of our board, and I don't mean that in age. I mean that in expertise and length of term term on the school board, so she is starting her third term, and we do appreciate the insight and the experience that she brings to our board, and also looking forward to working with Ms. Irons. I think we have a very wide range of abilities and interests on our board, things that we all are passionate about, and I'm looking forward to working with probably the first, somebody tell me the history, the first all-female school board in the history of Rockingham County Public Schools. We're going to look that up because that's kind of cool, if that's true.
I know several years ago,
might not be.
we were the only one that had a female majority. I know Daily News Record did an article on, we were the only board in the area that had a female majority, but
Well, we
all
really
female, I'm
have
not
it now.
sure. I'll have to we can look it up.
I'll have to do some research. Okay, thank you all for coming out this evening. Appreciate your time. Happy New Year. Drive safely.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
But wait,
Thank
there's
you.
more.
See,
See,
this is
I would like to
the
move, yeah.
senior,
It's like I've done this
senior
before.
member over here reminding me we still have work to do. We're going back into closed session, and so with that.
I move that
Ms.
the board
Laura.
enter into a closed meeting under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 for the purpose of discussing and considering personnel matters, including assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salary, disciplining, or resignation of specific employees. The subject matter is the superintendent's contract. I always feel like
second.
it's password.
Thank you, Ms. Floor. Ms. Irons, did you get the second? Did I get that right?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. All those in.
Yes.
Yes, Ms. Irons. Sorry, I was trying to speak and read what the finger point question mark was. All those in favor of entering into a closed meeting, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All those opposed say no. Motion passes 4-0. We're now in closed session. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Drive safely.